Are you a first-time home buyer? Are you aware of all the costs involved in purchasing a home? There are many costs involved that you may or may not be aware of. Stick around, I'll tell you all about it. Hi, I'm Marty, broker owner, Mr. Palm Bay Realty. Today, we're going to talk to our mortgage broker and find out exactly what these costs are. Here we go. Okay, I'm here today with Ashley Stockrahm from Certified Mortgage Planners. She's been a mortgage lender for over 15 years, even though she only looks like she's 21. I got her to smile. And I've been very impressed with her. And a lot of times when she sends out the pre-qualification letters, I noticed she sends out an additional flyer in the PDF form, and it's called 5 Upfront Costs That Surprise First-Time Homebuyers. And I said, hey, this is pretty cool. People should know about this, so they have all the answers ahead of time. So without further ado, let me introduce Ashley. Are you there?
Hi. Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
All right, awesome. So what you're referencing is the 5 upfront costs that surprise first-time home buyers. There's a couple of costs that I like to go over that are not disclosed in the actual disclosures, or people have a little bit of a misinterpretation or understanding of how they work. So the first one's going to be a home inspection. So home inspections are not required by the lender. However, as a consumer, most people recommend that you get one, being that it is one of the biggest purchases that you'll make in your life. They are not required. However, they are recommended, and they usually run anywhere from $300 to $500. That's a cost that you typically want to budget for the sake of making sure that the home that you're buying does not have any major issues.
Right, and that comes out of the buyer's pocket.
That comes out of the pocket and is separate from all of the closing costs that are listed on the actual loan disclosures.
Okay.
The second item would be appraisal fees. Appraisal fees run anywhere from $450 to $600, can be higher if you are asking for rush fees or there's something particular about the property in terms of size or land. That money is a out-of-pocket that is applied towards closing costs. However, it is what we call a prepaid. A prepaid means that it is paid before the closing date. The reason this is because an appraiser is a third-party servicer that wants to get paid before the loan closes, or whether the loan closes or not. That is part of the closing costs. However, again, it is something that you have to come out of pocket with beforehand.
Let me interrupt.
Sure.
So if somebody's paying a home inspector already, why do they need to pay for an appraisal?
So an appraisal determines the value of the property, while a home inspection determines anything that's wrong with the property. It can identify any issues that it may have, but it does not determine the value. Appraisal fee is required by the lender because that is how the property value is determined to match up against what the sale price is listed at.
Absolutely. Okay, next one is the earnest money deposit. People want to know, who is Earnest and why are we giving him money?
So I like to consider this something similar to like a good faith deposit. So the buyer or the sellers of the property know that you're a serious buyer. That amount, whatever is determined in the contract, is applied towards the actual closing costs, and you do get credit for that accordingly. So for example, if your earnest money deposit is $2,000, that $2,000 will get applied towards the closing costs due at the end of the loan.
So the higher the earnest money deposit is, the more sincere you appear to be.
That would be correct.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Next on our list, we have the survey fee. The survey fee determines the land and where the property lines are, if there are any encumbrances or any issues with the actual property itself in terms of the parameters. Surveys are required on all properties except condos. And survey fees usually are running anywhere between $275 and $400. Again, same as the appraisal fee in terms of how much is involved. If the property is bigger, then chances are your fee is going to be bigger as well. This is a third-party fee where the servicer does want to get paid up front, and this is why it comes out of pocket prior to closing. However, the fee is accounted for and applied at the end, so you would be due less that at closing.
Right. Now, suppose the seller has an existing survey. Can we always use that, or sometimes it's not allowed?
We absolutely can, as long as it's registered in their name and there hasn't been any additions to the property since the original survey was done. So for example, if the survey was done and a fence was put in after the survey, then you would need a new survey.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, and the last one is closing costs.
So closing costs are all the costs associated with the loan. This can include taxes and insurance, title fees, any origination charges through the lender, any points that are brought down, any processing or underwriting fees. This is any associated costs outside of your down payment. So typically with a down payment, you would have whatever program you were going with, depending on that specific product. Then you have your closing costs. Estimated closing costs generally are 3 to 4% of the purchase price.
Gotcha.
Just as a rule of thumb. The numbers can change, obviously, if the property's based off from property to property, because taxes and insurance on each specific property are subject to change, which can alter that. But as a good rule of thumb, I usually say 3 to 4%.
Okay, a lot of times in the past, before we entered this crazy seller's market, a lot of times the buyers would ask the seller for a concession on help on the closing costs. Are you seeing that that's kind of going away now?
So in today's market, it's not that it's gone away, because I do see it occasionally. It's just a more competitive market. So your offer is not as appealing if you are asking for seller concessions a lot of times. Because what you're doing is asking the seller to give you money back, while another competitive offer may not be asking for the same thing. So yours may be less desirable for that reason.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. You can ask for closing costs, and each particular loan product has a certain percentage of what you're allowed to ask for. Traditionally, conventional is 3% of the sales price. FHA is 6%. USDA is 6%, and VA is average of about 4%.
Oh, good to know. Hopefully we can use that in the next market trend.
Yeah.
No, we're not using them now. Are you also seeing a lot of the contracts are coming in at over asking price?
Yes. Many times now, especially because the way that the market is, it is definitely a seller's market. So they're taking highest and best. And I'm seeing, I mean, in some cases, I've seen people lose deals for $50,000 over one of their competitors, which is absolutely crazy. But especially in like the Orlando market, you're seeing that, and Brevard, maybe not as much, but you are still seeing, 5,000, 10,000 more on average, just because they're trying to win the deal.
And what's happening if the house doesn't appraise for that amount?
Well, then you'll have to go back to the negotiating table and work with the sellers on what you're willing to do. If they're not willing to budge, they're meaning the sellers are not willing to budge on bringing the purchase price down to match whatever the appraised value is. At that point, the buyer would be responsible for the difference.
Good to know. Okay. Guess that kind of wraps up our 5 upfront costs. And I'm going to have Ashley's contact information in the description below this video. I couldn't remember what the word was. Description. And also, if you want to get a copy of this PDF of the 5 upfront costs, just contact her, and I'm sure she'll be glad to send it to you. Thank you very much, Ashley. It was fun.
Thanks, Marty. Appreciate you.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
If you made it this far in this video, you probably like what you're seeing. In that case, hit that subscribe button below, and you'll be notified whenever I put up a new video. If you're considering to moving into or out of the Palm Bay area, call me, text me, or leave a comment below. I'll be glad to help you out.